I loved Los Angeles in the '60s. I mean, there was a great community artist ghetto in the hills above Sunset Boulevard, which loosely known as the Hollywood Hills, but in closer proximity to Laurel Canyon and the streets around that neighborhood. I mean, as a neighborhood, I had the guys in Canned Heat, Hugh Masekela, Joni Mitchell, the Mamas and the Papas, Frank Zappa, endless list of people. And when I first came to LA, I've always been a motorcycle fanatic. And I remember going up Laurel Canyon one day, and I saw the house of Houdini, the old house of Houdini, and across the street was the silent movie star Tom Mix, cowboy movie star Tom Mix, and there was his old house, and in the front yard there was loads of Harley Davidson parts, motorcycles all stripped in various parts of disarray, and I wondered, wow, I wonder who lives in there. And I found out it was Frank Zappa's place. So I walked into the yard, and I ran into Frank's drummer, whose name I can't quite remember, the Indian in the band. And we got talking, and the next thing I knew, would you like to borrow a bike for the day? You know, and yeah, I'd love to. You know. So it was my first run-in with West Coast bikers, and I had to go through the ritual of snorting a couple of lines of speed before I got on the bike. And I got on this really intimidating, real solid all iron hog, and took off to head towards the beach. Follow the road, which they told me was quite simple. All you do is go down Sunset Boulevard and as far as you can go, and then you hang a right, head north. You'll have the ocean on one side and the hills on the other, and that's the Pacific Coast Highway. Probably one of the best motorcycle rides in the world. And by the time I got down there, I was like, and I just kept going and going and going and going, and the sun went down and it got dark and cold. And I forgot that you have to put gas in the machine. And it just stopped by the roadside, and I spent all night in the freezing cold on the beach. Didn't dare leave the machine by itself because it wasn't mine, and there wasn't any gas stations in sight, and of course, ain't nobody out there at that time of night. And if there is, they're not gonna give a biker any help. It's like, it's your problem, Jack, you know. So that was my introduction to motorcycling out here in the West Coast, which I haven't stopped since I've been here. It's really great from that point of view, and it's even better out here because I have the Joshua Tree Monument at my back door, and I find it invigorating. I find it inspiring, and I'm sure a lot of artists that live up here, they're up here because of that reason. It really is a unique area. My girlfriend and I drove out from LA in this pickup truck that I had, and someone had given me some a psychedelic capsule of something, and I took this, and I felt like I was God, you know. And so I get out the car, and the wind was howling, and I thought I could hear somebody going, Eric, Eric. And I said to my girlfriend, do you hear that? She goes, what? I said, somebody's calling my name, you know. She goes, no. She was totally straight. I was the one that was out there. So I said, well, I'm going to go investigate. And just took off walking, barefoot. Yeah? And I came to rock formation like this, bigger than this one. And I just started, wow, full strength, pound I felt like a Zulu warrior, you know, full of energy and the hunt, you know, and I went up the rocks, and halfway up the rocks, I could hear spludge, spludge, spludge behind me. And I looked around and there was blood marks behind me. And I suddenly realized it was my own feet were cut to shreds on this rock, you know. And I got to the top, and the weather suddenly changed, and the clouds came in, and this storm started, this summer storm. And I was so high up on the pinnacle of the rock, I was looking down on the storm. I could see the lightning going down to the ground, and I couldn't move because my feet hurt by that time. And so I just sat there and went into a meditation mode, you know. And I woke up sometime later. I came out of the meditation sometime later, and I had this beard, you know, white beard down here. My hair was white and shoulder length, you know. And I was Charlton Heston as Moses on the mount with the tablet of information to bring the word to the world, you know. But of course I wasn't going anywhere, and then I saw these two highway patrol cars came along, and they stopped next to my pickup truck. And I was, you know, probably for the first time in my life, I was happy to see officers of the law. They put me in a basket and they carried me down, and then they dumped me next to the truck. And my girlfriend, who was a stunt girl in movies, she was quite strong. She picked me up in the fireman's grip, you know, and put me in the back of the truck, and drove me back to LA, and offloaded me off the truck and just threw me into the bed. Now,
and that's the truth about psychedelic years here.
Yeah.
And the summer of love.
Yeah. I was so embarrassed. And I felt really sorry for the poor cops who had to go up there and get me down. But yeah, they were silly days, you know, but that's what youth is all about, isn't it? It's your only chance to be silly, I think.
Do you sometimes feel, well, I could have made it even bigger, like Joe Cocker? Would you like to trade places with somebody like Joe Cocker or like Eric Clapton or whoever, who are really...
Trade places with Eric Clapton? My God, he lost his son. He lost a baby.
Yeah, sure.
Fell out of a window. He was so strung out on drugs for so long. I mean, that now the only way back is for him to run a clinic in the Bahamas and cure people. That's his karma. That's the way he gets it back. No, I've lived a great life. I've had a great time, and I have my own little niche, and I'm quite happy with it. You know, if I had another #1 hit record and a #1 hit album, now I'd be in a much better position to handle it and deal with it. And sure, everybody would like a little more, you know, but you can only ride one Harley at a time, and you can only drive one car at a time. I mean, I have friends, not particularly friends in the music business, but rich guys who live out here in these valleys. And one friend in particular is a professional gambler. He's got 35 classic American cars, beautiful cars, you know. And all he does is gamble. He's a professional gambler. He's so miserable and so lost, and doesn't trust anybody because he thinks that anybody who gets close to him wants his money. And then you have to deal with security. Another friend of mine lived out there, I won't mention his name, but he had a franchise on imported German cars into America. So he got like a huge amount of money for every German car that was imported into America. Rich guy. He got kidnapped. And now he's so afraid he sails the ocean in three ships, 2 for security and 1 for him to live on. And he just puts into port quick enough to replenish the foodstuffs, and then they keep going around the world, going nowhere. I mean, you know, at least I feel like I belong somewhere.
I don't know, at least my generation, for example, they lost hope that they can change the world, and the 60s seemed to be the last era where people had this hope of changing the world. I don't know if you felt like that in the 60s.
Yeah, sure I did. Yeah, there's an old blues line that says, we may be fighting a losing battle, but we're having a lot of fun trying to win. And I knew back then it couldn't last. How could it last? We were threatening the very foundations of international corporate business. It was a threat to everybody. But it was only the fact that they perceived it as a threat that made it threatening. It really wasn't an attempt to bring everything to the ground. It was an attempt to just re-examine values and say, hey, there's a softer way of doing things. There's a better way of doing things. I mean, if America is going to promote American food and beverages worldwide, why does it have to be McDonald's, and why does it have to be Coca-Cola, which is proven to be a heart attack or a cardiac arrest in the making? I mean, yeah, that's, you begin at the basic things like family values, peace under the roof of the household, and good, healthy food on the table. And yet, we know that there's nothing healthy about a hamburger with cheese on it, 2 patties, slice of onion, tomato, and 2 huge buns, and it's this size, and you can't even get your mouth around it, and you have a 26-ounce, can of Coca-Cola that's made up of chemicals. I mean, no wonder the French are throwing rocks at McDonald's outlets. And, the fact that we're having this conversation proves that it hasn't gone away, proves that some people are re-examining what's happening and the values of what's gone wrong. And the protests at the IMF meeting in Seattle and the one in Geneva, I think, it's not everybody's taking it lying down.